Kevin Roth here of RotoGrinders, and today we're going to talk about the RG Discord. If you're not a member, you should be. It is a fantastic community and resource that RotoGrinders provides, and it's easy to join as well. All you have to do is click the Discord icon on RotoGrinders or go to rotogrinders.com/discord. From there, you'll either sign up if you're new to RG, or if you're already a member, just click the link at the top to go to the sign-in page. Once you've logged into your RG account, you can be taken to Discord to log in there. Once you've connected those accounts, you won't have to leave the server. You can freely close out and reopen Discord without ever having to reconnect. The idea of Discord might be a little bit daunting to you, but it's actually pretty simple to navigate. Whether you're on mobile or desktop, the far left side will show you the Discord servers that you've already joined. Then next to that, you'll see the channels within that Discord. We have both free channels like Chiefs Prop Shop and our daily sport channels. And we also have premium channels like Blender's Game Theory or the Crunch Time channels. Premium members can see the difference between the free and premium channels by looking for a padlock icon next to the premium channel names. We also have a few pointers for new and experienced users alike. If you're having trouble finding a channel, make sure that you haven't collapsed the section that the channel is in. Collapsing a channel will only allow it to appear when there are unread messages in that channel. Also, we find that using the actual Discord program works better than opening it in a browser like Safari or Chrome. Lastly, if you're having trouble with one of our tools, your RotoGrinders account, or any other technical needs, you can hop in our feedback and help section of channels to get help from one of our wonderful support and moderation team members. If you have any more questions, feel free to reach out on Twitter @RotoGrinders or email support@rotogrinders.com. See you in Discord.
What's going on, everyone? Happy evening, Saturday night here in baseball land. I am Britt Devine, back with TJ. We have recruited the Iceman, Keith Eister, to help us out with baseball tonight. But TJ, I got to start with you. You know, we were like, hey, let's play this win game in Wrigley on the early slate. I'm hitting all these home runs. I see it's 21-0. I'm like, I'm going to run to the bank with all my Cubs home runs. And there's one home run, dude. What's going on? I thought they dejuiced the baseball this year. You can't hit home runs, but you can score 21 runs. How does that happen?
I don't know. That's a bit of a crazy one, but Patrick Wisdom dropped the Spidey bomb down to 3 for 6. However, he did have more fantasy points than a home run. So the Spidey is 6 for 6 on more fantasy points than home runs on the Spidey bomb. So no home run, but we'll somewhat take it for that one.
How many likes? So let's say we've got to get to
55 watching right now. So I think 25 is a good number. 25
likes, and we'll get the Spidey 6 for 6 fantasy points. Home run. I want the home run, but I'll take the fantasy points as well.
It's a consolation prize, but we'll take it.
And then Keith is down for the count after an eye poke and a nut shot in MMA. So we've turned to baseball for tonight, man. What's up?
Yeah, Dean Barry is on the never ever again list. I had him in a bunch of parlays that are already dead after the first fight of the night. So
you gotta get that parlay insurance.
Yeah, for sure. Probably be chasing the rest of the card once we get off the show here. But yeah, not a great start to the UFC night for me.
Yeah, thankfully we've got some baseball. Let's get to it. We just got a half hour tonight, 5 shows. I do want to thank Fanduel for sponsoring the show here. You can sign up for the FanDuel Sportsbook if you happen to have them available in your state. If you are new, you get a risk-free bet up to $1,000. You bet 1,000. If you lose, they give you another 1,000 to bet on something else. It's great. You got to take advantage of those things if you have the availability to do so in your state. Max those out. I know it seems tough to bet the 1,000, but it's well worth it in the end to get that risk-free bet. So check that out on FanDuel. All right. Keith and I are going to handle cash games, and I posed this to Keith pre-show. We'll start on our sponsor, FanDuel. Who is the cash game pitcher on FanDuel? You got Noah Cindergard, who's been pretty good, but hasn't had the strikeouts. We've got Matt Brash, has the strikeouts, but he's also walking a lot of people. We've got Ian Anderson, who's in a reasonably good strikeout matchup tonight, and he's pretty solid. And then I think Darvish is probably the last guy I'm interested in, just because the very tough man. He can have the biggest score of the night for sure. But I think for cash games against the Dodgers, he's definitely out. So between the other three, we got to pick one on FanDuel. Who you got?
Yeah, it's a pretty tough decision, honestly. I agree. Darvish is the first one out just because of the matchup. Tons of talent on that Dodgers team. Brash is the cheapest of the bunch, and I do love him for tournaments. But I think in cash, I know safety is not a word that we like to use, but that walk rate is scary. He's been up at 16% walks in his career. A little bit of concern about the leash. I love the strikeout upside. I love the pitcher. I think he's a very talented guy. But I just want to spend a little bit more and get up to a guy I feel a little bit better about. I'm going all the way to the top. Noah Syndergaard has an awesome matchup here against Baltimore. Again, safety is not a word that we like to use, but Syndergaard's a super talented pitcher. Strikeouts haven't really come back since his injury, but if they're going to, this is a great matchup for that. So I'm fine spending a little bit of extra money and getting up to Syndergaard.
Yeah, his velocity is, a little bit down from 2 years ago, but the stuff's still pretty good. He's pitching pretty well, and I think he's probably my choice as well on FanDuel. DraftKings, you got to have two of them here. So if we're playing Syndergaard, who's 8,600, right? I think he's definitely locked in. If we like him on FanDuel at 10-6, we're for sure playing him on DraftKings. We've got Brash and we've got Ian Anderson. Not Tyler Anderson, or you're right, Ian Anderson for the Braves is the guy we want to use tonight. Who is it between those? We were trying to bait a pre-show. I think it's pretty tough between those two. To me, if it came down to salary, what does it come down to for you?
It's the walk rate for Brash that scares me off just a little bit. They're $600 apart. I'm going to find the $600 to get to Anderson. He is my favorite pitcher on the slate. Like in tournaments for tournament upside, I think he goes out there and strikes out a bunch of these Marlins. I wrote that up for scores and odds over 4.5 strikeouts. I'm on that tonight. Yesterday, the Braves pitching staff struck out 16 Marlins, including 11 from Kyle Wright. I think Anderson has probably not 11 in his range of outcomes, but he could get up to 8 or 9 strikeouts in this matchup pretty easily. There's plenty of Ks in that Marlins lineup, so I'll go to Anderson over Brash. Shout
out to Carlucci for the right call last night. The ladder, FanDuel only let me get up to 9. So I took that all the way up. So thanks to Luch on that one. That was a nice payday on the Scores and Odds app. And you guys want to check out Scores and Odds? Go download it. You can track all your live games, right? It's great for that. If you want picks from the guys here at RotoGrinders, you can get that. If you want instant access, I have all the sports books, right? So if you want access to the best line for basically any prop out there, you can find it on Scores and Odds. It's all tied in. Basically doing that makes you a almost profitable sports bettor if you're just generally smart to begin with, and then getting, everything else that it has is awesome. So check it out. And I use it all the time now for tracking the live games. It's also pretty good at that. What is your, speaking of Scores and Odds and Ian Anderson, let's give one of your plays away. He was on there today at over 4.5 or over 5.5.
I got him at 4.5.
This morning.
Yep. Looking at it now, let me refresh here real quick. I believe he's still available at 4.5. It has moved to 5.5 at FanDuel.
Yeah.
But use that handy odds compare tool over at Scores and Odds. You can still get it. Looks like MGM is the best spot over 4.5 minus 139.
Yep. Yeah, that seems like easy money if you ask me tonight. All right, TJ, tournaments. Break down sort of your risk tolerance of the top 4 guys. And then if you get past that, I mean, it's a bunch of trash after that tonight. Are you playing any of those other guys?
Yes, I sure am. And
So
so
what do
it's
you
like
got?
we talked about a little bit this morning. There's with the lower scores so far in MLB, it's gives us more and more reason to try and be contrarian and throw things out there because yes, Noah Syndergaard, Matt Brash on FanDuel, they are definitely the two top pitchers today on this slate. But it's also they are not that much ahead of the field in terms of how much ownership they're getting. So in tournaments, there's definitely ways you can get off of them. Darvish and Ian Anderson, I think, are both possible options. I prefer Ian Anderson to Darvish if I'm choosing between the two. But I unfortunately find myself in this mid-range a lot. Eliezer Hernandez, I think, is one of my favorite tournament options on the slate. And unfortunately, I'm getting to some Chris Bubich too. He's someone who has not pitched well so far this year, but it's only been 2 games. So he's playing a Seattle offense that's not that strong. So yeah, I'm getting to some Bubich, I'm getting to some Hernandez, and I like Ian Anderson in tournaments as well.
You know, what's your thought on maybe a Cindergard, a Brash, those two players for tournaments tonight? Is there one you would prefer over the other? They're looking like both of those guys specifically, Syndergaard's going to be the highest on pitcher on the slate, at least on DraftKings for sure.
So on FanDuel, I like Brash better than Cindergard just because I view them similarly. But Brash is $1,600 cheaper, and you need that salary today on FanDuel. It's not our usual slate where you can kind of play whoever the heck you want. Like, it's kind of tough to fit in some of the stacks that you want to fit in. So I like Brash over Cindergard on FanDuel. On DK, where Syndergaard's cheaper, I would probably play him on every single lineup, no matter how many I played tonight.
All right. Yeah, because you want to get, if you want, Ohtani and Trout and a couple of those, and any other bigger bet, right? You do have to save a couple of bucks tonight. All right, let's go real quick. Offense, TJ, tournaments. We've got the Angels. I think they're by far the number 1 team. Are they worth that tonight? The ownership, or would you swerve to somebody else?
So I wouldn't say they're not worth it. To me, they're actually my number 2 stack, though. I think the Angels are in a great spot. I think the Mets are in a better one. And so the Mets are my number 1 tournament stack. They're not picking up near as much ownership, and it's because they're pretty expensive all the way through. You can get cheap with guys like Dominic Smith, Robinson Cano. But the first half of their lineup is pretty darn expensive. And so that's one of the reasons I find myself on these mid-range pitchers, because the Mets are my top offense and they're not picking up any ownership. So I really want to get to them. In terms of other ways to get different, yeah, I have no issue playing the Angels. Like, they're filled with fantastic hitters and they're in a great spot. Just find other ways to do it. If you're playing on FanDuel and you're playing Matt Brash with the Angels and the who else is going to be a chalky stack here tonight? Sorry, I accidentally just
Mets, Braves.
Yeah, like the Braves, somebody like that. Like, if you're basically just running a cash game lineup, like, you're going to be finding it very, very difficult to win any type of tournament. So if you are playing the Angels, find a way to get different. I really like the Dodgers for tournaments. They're facing you, Darvish, and so they're not picking up very much ownership, but this is still the Dodgers. And so anytime the Dodgers are low owned, especially on a short slate, I'm getting way overweight on them. So they're actually the stack that I'm ending up with the most, just because they're cheaper than the Mets are all the way through. So I'm getting lots of Mets, lots of Dodgers, and then sprinkling in Angels, as well as the Padres are my 4th favorite team.
Yeah, Darvish for sure. He has those games. He's a good pitcher. Has the ability, though. When he gets hit, he generally can give up a big game every now and then. So I do like that call on the Dodgers. All right, let's go position by position. Keith, let's start at catcher. What are we doing for cash games? Maybe a little bit more so. I mean, you got Varsho on FanDuel. I think he's certainly in play either at that catcher, first base, or utility, or wherever you want to throw him in on your team, the outfield, lots of ways to use him. DraftKings. I found myself, the position, everyone's expensive, and then you got Travis d'Arnaud at 2,200. That seems pretty good tonight.
Yeah, DraftKings is pretty easy tonight, honestly, because the Braves, again, are just completely free. Like, their entire lineup is way underpriced.
Mm-hmm.
d'Arnaud is the clear option as your cash game catcher on DraftKings. At catcher first base over on FanDuel, I do like Varsho at 2,500. The bat has loved him all year long. He's finally started to just rake here lately. He's got a couple home runs in the last 3 games or something like that, I think. And I love TJ's call on the Mets as well. I am on Mets for sure, in particular the lefties, and you can get Dominic Smith for 2,200. I like him quite a bit as well.
Yeah. What are we doing in tournaments at the catcher position, TJ?
At the catcher position, I just built my last lineup here. And I'm only playing on FanDuel, so I didn't have the DraftKings catcher tab up. But my favorite catcher play is Will Smith tonight, probably for tournaments. I love just that entire Dodgers lineup, and people don't like going to the second half of it. So I like getting to Will Smith. Travis d'Arnaud is obviously your cash game one at 2,200, and that's chalk I'm okay with eating. On DK, not on FanDuel. On FanDuel, I think the only catchers I'd be playing tonight would be Smith or Stassi in a stack, but Sal Perez in tournaments is always okay. Austin Nola leading off against the lefty, I'm okay with that too.
I want to let everybody know if you want to get your questions into the YouTube chat, or if you are a premium subscriber, get it into the MLB Crunch Time channel in Discord, and we will get to those in just a few short minutes. All right, first base tonight, Keith, cash. A couple ways you can go on DK. Matt Olson, 4,500. Right, you mentioned Atlanta is very cheap, very easy to get. Atlanta Angels. If you do that, all right, with Brash and Cindergard, right, oh, you got the same lineup as everyone else tonight. So don't play that in tournaments, but for cash, it works pretty good. On DK, you mentioned Dom Smith, or on FanDuel, 2,200, hitting 6. He has been hitting like 7th or even 8th, I think, a couple of times. I think 7. He's up to 6 tonight. That looks pretty good.
Yeah, agree. Matt Olson is a 5K hitter. He's $500 underpriced. Not scared of the matchup against Hernandez. Decent pitcher, but not a huge strikeout guy. So there's going to be a Brave mention pretty much at every position. Yeah. I think on DK, it's Olson. On FanDuel, I'm leaning towards spending down for Smith.
All right. If we're on FanDuel for tournaments, TJ, what are we looking at the first base position?
First base position, my favorite of the night is probably Freddie Freeman, I guess. That's where I'm liking to go tonight. But I mean, optimally, you're definitely looking at Jared Walsh. But for tournaments, I like going to guys like Freddie Freeman, Max Muncy at that position. You can even play Dominic Smith there for super cheap if you want to. But Pete Alonso is the other guy that I'm looking to, but I'm really just trying to stick to those 4 stacks that I was talking to earlier. I think there's some great leverage there other than the Angels. So those are the big guys that I like tonight.
All right. Second base, Keith, I told you pre-show, it stinks. Like I legitimately, you've got Ozzy Albies, who's, on DK's 5K. I think every single player is overpriced, I think, on DraftKings at the second base position for what you want to do. The default's probably Albies, because the cheap second basemen they're not good at all. So it is a position I did find myself spending. FanDuel is a little tougher. Albies or Muncy. Which one would you rather prefer there? I think Albies is 4,100. So it was Muncy or who's the price range right
Cano or Marte are kind of the guys that I would want to be looking for.
Yeah, Marte or Muncy on FanDuel are probably the 2 I was looking at.
Yeah, they're all of them are a little bit underpriced. You can play Marte in the outfield as well, but I do really like that $2,700 price tag. Great matchup against Trevor Williams there. Muncy is a very talented hitter. Obviously, a tough matchup against Darvish. But he can hit one off of anybody, and Darvish does allow a little bit of left-handed power, so I don't mind Muncy at all. And Cano is another guy. I have him tagged in lineup HQ. He's hitting in the 7th spot. That's not ideal for cash, so I would say Marte would be my cash guy. I do love Cano for tournaments though as well.
And then tournaments, TJ, what's the lay of the land here? Is there any sleepers?
So on FanDuel, this is actually one of my favorite positions on the slate. There are tons of great plays in my position. You have all these Dodgers players, Turner, Taylor, Lux. I love playing the bottom. I've said this before, but I love playing the bottom half of the Dodgers lineup just because nobody does. And they're still phenomenal hitters. These would be a top half of most lineups. So I love the 3 Dodgers, Marte, Cano, Jurickson, Profar, Jeff McNeil and Escobar, those Mets players, and then Jazz Chisholm on FanDuel is too cheap. He's priced up there on DK, but he's too cheap on FanDuel. On DK, my favorite tournament option will be Lux there, where he's only 3,400.
All right, going to third base, Keith. What's the lay of the land for cash?
Rendon is the guy that I want to get to. Not sure if I have the money. If you don't have the money, I think Taylor Ward is a very good option at 2,600 on FanDuel. Let me flip over to DK here. A little bit different pricing. Rendon priced up over here. It's Austin Riley that's the guy that's underpriced. We talked about the Braves. They're just all too cheap. So play Austin Riley on DK.
Yeah, DK, it really seems like you got Cindergard, take one of the other pitchers, Brash or Anderson, find some Braves, find the good Angels, call it a night in cash games is what I sort of figured out over on DraftKings today. Seems almost too easy. I don't know. It worked for the early slate. We'll see if it works for the night slate today.
Want to say quick, we're 7 likes away from our Spidey bomb. So if you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button. And we already got 95 people watching. So if we can get up to 40, I'll do a high price one and a low price one.
Yeah, do these people know what the Spidey? So the Spidey bomb, basically the guy has hit every time 6 for 6 according to TJ. He's
3 for 6 on home runs, but
Yep.
6 for 6 on fantasy points at least a home run.
All right, yeah, so we're at 19. A couple more likes, guys. We'll get that to you towards the end of the show. Let's go to, I guess, shortstop. Just, I don't know. I find myself saving some money. When I really want to roster, I want to play Mike Trout. I want to play Ohtani, Keith, and Cash. I'm making some sacrifices at shortstop.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Dansby Swanson is really cheap on FanDuel, and you don't have 5 Braves in your lineup already, which you might run into on DraftKings. But I do like Swanson over on FanDuel. He's hitting at the bottom of the order, but he's a pretty talented hitter. On DraftKings, you legitimately might run into a spot where you have 5 Braves in your lineup already, so you might not be able to play Swanson. I'm fine with still punting it. Even if I'm playing Cindergard, I'd be fine with Mateo. Like you said, I would love to get up to Lindor or Turner, but I would much rather spend in the outfield. We spent a little bit at first base, so we just don't have the money here with the build that I'm working on. I love Swanson if you have room for him. Otherwise, I think punting it is the way to go. With
Swanson,
Velasquez there too.
Yeah, Velasquez on DK are probably my 2 choices. So if we're going cheap for cash, maybe some other people might be doing that too. Does that mean the Lindor, the Trey Turners are going to be a little bit underowned? And of course, you're going to have to like Trey Turner. I actually, I think I bet the over 1.5 total bases for Trey Turner against you, Darvish. I fell for the BVP. It's pretty good.
Yeah, so that's exactly what I'm doing. Yes, Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani are the best hitters on this slate, but you can't tell me that you'd be surprised if Francisco Lindor and Trey Turner outscore them tonight. So I'm paying up for these guys for tournaments. I'm playing 3 lineups on FanDuel. My shortstops are Turner, Lux, and Lindor. So I'm paying up here, and I'm trying to get a little bit different elsewhere. And where I'm doing that is these mid-range pitchers, because I too like spending up for these outfield guys.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to outfield cash. Pretty easy. I think you want to get you definitely want to have Trout or Ohtani, and I think you probably want both of them tonight. In my opinion, Keith, are you on that train on both sites?
Yeah, absolutely. Just facing an awful pitcher in Spencer Watkins. I believe Derek Carty has said that his league neutral ERA is around 6. So just not a great pitcher. He's not going to strike anybody out. Trout and Ohtani obviously have a ton of power. Probably going to put the ball in play 4 or 5 times tonight. I want both of them in my lineup.
Yeah, and then you're kind of, on FanDuel, you've got your Varsho. Can't put Dom Smith out in the outfield. Cedric Mullins was another guy. I think he's probably a little too cheap against Cindergard. If he gets on base, I think he's foregone conclusion is he's probably going to steal second off of Cindergard there. So I think that's a decent one. There's a couple. What do you got? Rosario for Atlanta, 2,500. Just get another Atlanta bat. Way too cheap. He's probably the best of the ultra cheap hitters tonight, in my opinion, in the outfield, right?
Yeah, I do like Rosario a good amount. You touched on Varsho as well. We mentioned him at catcher first base, but he is eligible in the outfield, leading off for Arizona. And Trevor Williams has a decent split, gives up more power to lefties. So I do like Varsho a good amount.
All right. Outfield tournaments, TJ, let's wrap this up and then we'll take some questions.
Yeah, so you still can play the chalky Atlanta guys if you, or sorry, Angels guys if you want to. But even if you want to play Angels and get a little bit different, there's ways to do it in the outfield. Brandon Marsh is a very solid hitter, hitting 6th. But one of my favorite things to do is look at these Mets outfielders: Starling Marte, Brandon Nimmo. Nobody's playing them because they're similar price to Trout and Ohtani. But I guess Nimmo looks like he's picking some ownership, surprisingly. But I still like these Mets guys. The other ones I'm looking at are, no surprise, Dodgers. Mookie Betts is great, but also peaking at this bottom half of the lineup. Cody Bellinger, Chris Taylor are guys that I like a lot as well.
Luca's it was 24.5 line. I mean, what were these people doing on a minute? He wasn't on a minutes limit. That was some nonsense. 24.5 was just free money in my opinion today. And he's at 30. He must have just hit a big shot or something like that too. So yeah, sports books, they don't always know what they're doing, Keith, right?
That is correct. Yes, they're
sometimes we don't know what we're doing sometimes either. It plays back and forth, but that was one that really stuck out to me. So I'm glad I got that. All right, let's get some questions. We'll start in our crunch time chat for the paid RotoGrinders premium subscribers. If you want to get a question in, please get it in there. Slamber wanted to know which of the top DraftKings chalk pitchers is most likely to get hit tonight. So it's very clearly a tier of 4. You look into the crystal ball, TJ. Which one's most likely to have the bad outing?
I'd say Darvish. Darvish, just because he's playing up, going against the Dodgers. He's not picking up the same amount of ownership. So if you're looking to try and get someone who's maybe could fail and you're getting some leverage on the field, then you want to look at Brash. But I think Darvish is the least likely to do well of the 4.
All right. And what do you think, Keith? Slambert followed this up. For what it's worth, Kansas City has the least amount of walks in baseball so far this season in regards to Brash. That would be his downfall. Does that make him a little less or a little better to you? Or is he still the guy you think would be most likely to fail just because it has the least track record of the 3 named pitchers tonight?
So I agree with TJ that Darvish is the most likely to fail. And that's a good point about the Kansas City lineup, but this is still a guy who's shown a 16% walk rate. And I don't think that he's necessarily going to go out there and give up 6 runs. I'm just saying if he walks 3 or 4 guys, you're looking at maybe 4 or 5 innings as opposed to the 6 that Anderson or Cindergard are going to give you.
All right. And then we've got one question from JMVP. He's got a high dollar single entry on DraftKings. He wants the Mets with Noah and Brash. Is that different enough for you tonight, TJ?
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I definitely like that.
Yeah, if you're just try not to do
don't do Trout and Ohtani.
With the Mets.
Yeah, and like don't be mixing in any Atlanta guys for your cheapies.
Yeah, something like that. I think you're on the right track. I do like the
Mets.
That's
personally my favorite way to get different in tournaments is you play Hernandez at pitcher and you don't play any Atlanta guys.
D-Rock has a DraftKings tournament. Trout or Ohtani, you got to pick one tonight. So let's go around the board. Who you got, TJ?
Trout.
Keith?
I'm going to agree. Trout.
Let's call it a sweep. 3-0 Mike Trout over Ohtani. That definitely means 2 home runs. Shohei Ohtani tonight.
Before we hit lock, better say it quick. The Spidey has been yelling at me to come closer so that he can whisper in my ear to tell me who is hitting the Spidey bomb. We didn't quite hit 40, so we don't get the cheap one. But from the expensive tier, Francisco Lindor is hitting a bomb tonight.
Right. So if he doesn't, it's also a guarantee for 14 DraftKings points.
Yeah, exactly.
Either way. So let me change around all my lineups and we'll put
I didn't check wisdom score. He had 18.9 on Fanduel. I didn't see what he was on DraftKings. So I don't know if he actually eclipsed the home run score.
It was not the home run. I even sprinkled in the 2 home run props that they have on Fanduel on like wisdom and Contreras, just a couple of bucks because it's like plus 4,000 you get on some of these guys for multi home runs. All my home run bets from that game down the drain, but thankfully made up for it on a couple other ones.
And so for what it's worth as well, I'm not playing cash tonight, but I made a kind of a mock cash team on FanDuel, and I did end up with Brash as my pitcher there.
All right. A couple other questions. Let's see. That's Devin. Devin likes a full Dodger stack with Baltimore mini stack. Anyone playing Baltimore?
I am not. No.
That's like a mini max type of, giant large field, because you're the Dodgers with Baltimore against the most highest owned pitcher. If it hits, you'll be probably one of 5 people in like a 20,000 person tournament or something like that.
I mean, yeah, it's a good pitcher, but they're all free, and you can do worse in terms of hitters than Mullins, Mountcastle, Santander, Mancini. So
yeah, I don't hate it.
There are
All
crazier
right.
things.
Yeah,
Let's
Cindergard
go.
can give up some lefty power too. I like it.
We'll take some YouTube questions. Kevin Lanuski want to know third base for DraftKings. Who's our third baseman, Keith?
It's Austin Riley for me, 3,500 hitting third for the Braves. Great lineup spot, too cheap of a price.
Shortstop too, DK. I'm going cheap.
Swanson, if you have a Braves bat available. Otherwise, I think you punt it with like a Velasquez.
All right, that was a couple YouTube questions. Let me find, I got a lot on my screen here. Let's see. Spidey owes him a bomb.
Ooh, we're 8 away from the cheap one.
All right, yeah, a couple more likes and maybe you'll get it in the last. Is it in the Miami Atlanta game? Please tell me it's not, because then I have more time to. All right, good. So I got some time to get it in on the sports book. Wisdom was 13 DraftKings points, so you just missed.
Yeah, so he fell just short. I'm a FanDuel guy. I go FanDuel.
Derek, another one. GPP, Trout or Ohtani. We all had Trout on that one. Let's see. Casey a lot versus Brash. Is anyone from a tournament perspective? Guys like Merrifield is just having an absolutely horrific start. Bobby Witt is all the way down in the bottom of the lineup now. Anyone playing these guys against Brash? Do you think that's a viable tournament strategy tonight? I don't even know. Yeah, Merrifield, not great. Nicky Lopez leading off. This is not a great lineup for KC tonight, TJ.
No, I agree with you. That's not somewhere that I'm going.
Yeah.
There are too many good offenses that aren't picking up very much ownership to go to KC.
Yeah, not a team I would want to be putting my money on tonight. All right. If you want the sports books, you got to get in right now. Keith's on scoring odds was Ian Anderson, either 4.5. I think that was on MGM. If you find that at 5.5, I still like that too. I think you can get to 6 tonight, or pretty easily if he goes 6 innings. I do like him as a pitcher tonight. I'm just trying to see, did I have any other no bets in the Mets game?
While you're looking there on FanDuel, they have the alternate strikeouts as well. And when there's a clear spot, just like you put your full unit on his original prop, and then you just do a quarter unit on like the next level up and the one above that. And when it hits, like Carlucci called last night, it's a nice little payday. Yeah, and I definitely think Ian Anderson has more upside than that 4.5 or 5.5. He can get up to 7 or 8 pretty easily tonight.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get a couple other bets. So I had Trey Turner over 1.5 total bases. I had, let's see, in the Angels game, I think I took the over on Cindergard strikeouts. Not on the sports books, it was more on the prop sites. Some of them have them at 3.5, or it's just way too low. So if you're playing one of those prop sites from like the prop shop that Chief does, I think Cindergard was a little low on that. Not a lot of bets for me on that one. We have 35 likes, TJ. Come on.
Can't do it. 81 people watching. That's not 40 is not even half.
Everyone go click the like. I need to know myself personally. Go click the like button on YouTube. TJ's got to give me the play. I got to get another bet in to Jones myself. We're at 35 here. 34, 35. Here we go. I'll play the like and unlike game to maybe get a couple other people in there. But I don't really see any other questions. We'll see if we can get these likes up in the last couple of seconds. We're up to 36. All right. Devin, sign into your personal YouTube. Devin, sign in. TJ, go to YouTube. Keith, go to YouTube. Let's get this to 40. I need to know.
Hey, I was the second person to like it, so I was ready.
Oh,
but,
someone we went down to 35.
Now that it's 37 on my screen, but now that we've hit lock, I gotta say I'm surprised with Hernandez's ownership. I thought I was gonna get him for Wes.
Is he? I believe he was like he was certainly off the top tier. He was definitely the number 5 pitcher. So what did he come through on ownership?
9.5% on FanDuel in the 555 contest.
Yeah, in a single, I would have thought that might be just a little, maybe cut that in half. If in my
Yeah,
opinion,
that's
if I was thinking
what I
about
was
something
hoping
like
for.
that.
We've hit 40.
Yep,
We did
40
it.
I see 41 on my screen.
Rejoice. I was hoping for something slightly lower owned, but I mean it's a small slate, so you can only get so low owned, especially if you're looking at cheapies. The guy I'm going tonight, that Spidey whispered in my ear, he told me he feels good about it. Dalton Varsho.
All right, and we're playing him for a home run.
Yes, sir.
All right, let me see. I'm pulling up FanDuel. Let's
That's
see.
gotta be like plus 550, I think.
Yeah, to hit a home run. He's had a couple here. So let's see. To hit a home run, Varsho on FanDuel is, guess what he is? 450.
450. All right. No.
450. I wanted like a 500.
Yeah.
Right, I think, but I'll play the 450. And TJ, if he wins, I don't know. I'll say thanks.
Yeah. Virtual high five. If it wins, you have to take one of my movie recommendations and watch it.
Oh no, it's just like so Dean, you and Dean need to like hang out for a little while and talk movies. Movies are just like, yeah, I don't know. I watch a movie once and I enjoy it and then I forget about it, right? And then I move on to the next movie. But
So I watched one last night that I feel like is a really good one for that vein, and it was absolutely fantastic.
What was it?
So it's the two movies I've most recently watched, and they're both great. One is on another tier than the other, but the one last night is The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. It's where Nick Cage plays Nick Cage, and essentially about how he just would do anything for any type of acting job for money. And Pedro Pascal is his buddy in it, and whew, it's fantastic. But the other one I watched before that, which is a higher quality movie, but there's just a lot going on, is Everything Everywhere All at Once. New Michelle Yeoh movie is just phenomenal.
I mean, has anyone watched the new Batman on HBO Max or whatever? Did that even go in theaters? I don't even know. That was one.
Yeah.
All right, was that good? I was debating turning that on over the next couple of days, so I'll check that one out. We've got a Jazz Chisholm a leadoff dong. So the Ian Anderson shares not great off the start. Hopefully, you can get some strikeouts to make up for it.
Jazz ended up the shortstop in my mock cash team on FanDuel just
There
because.
does it get better than that?
That was the last. I didn't play the team, so it's just sitting in lineup HQ right now.
All right, that's gonna do it. Let's see. TJ needs to let us premium knows. Yeah, he said in the so he Jay, a long time RotoGrinder subscriber in the Crunch Time channel. He wanted to play just in there, TJ. I think that's fair. Fair.
If we're not hitting if we don't get the like thing, I think I can start dropping it there. That could be fair. But then maybe people won't hit the like. So
yeah,
it's all about the like. We got to spread the love. It's for the people. We got to get that like button up. The YouTube tries to bring us down. The algorithm, it doesn't matter how good your content is. If you don't have like buttons, you don't get shown on the main page. So it's for everybody. It's important.
All right, that's going to wrap it up for tonight's baseball show. They will be back for Crunch Time for the Sunday slate. Make sure to check that out tomorrow at I believe around 12:30. TJ, Keith, it's been fun. I got to go have some dinner. Hope everyone else enjoys the rest of the night between NBA, baseball, MMA, whatever else you got. NHL, right? I do a lot of NHL bets. They're sort of fun. Have fun out there tonight. So for TJ and Keith, I'm Britt. Thanks for watching, everyone, and we out ya.